Yep. Fuck. Oh, no. I mean, God. There's no way I tied. I mean, honestly, I should be grateful I even tied. That last act felt really miserable. Like, it felt so late. Oh my, there's no fucking way. There's just no way. There's just no fucking way. Felt like that was a really good last act front end. But I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I just blew that by going for that, by changing that last activation. I'm pretty sure I just fucked myself by going for that. Ugh, damn it. Man, I really should not have chose that run to experiment with. Fucking hell. Yes! Oh my god, finally! So, strangely, I did not even really feel nervous during that outro because I actually thought I missed the solo squeeze. Quote unquote squeeze. My early whammy going into it was not good. My front end was not very pushed. And I really thought I saw the yellow note on, or the yellow flame on the yellow note. So wow, nerves probably kept that together. I have a score milestone after the final activation. My 504 run, my ticks were 40 after that, so I knew as soon as I saw that 44 that I was in striking distance, I had it, and as long as I closed out that final reverse squeeze. Okay, so there was some discussion on my previous tied first about the last activation, naming that the final act should be, or, theorized by a couple people, including Kyle, which is, probably the best, I don't even think probably is the right word, the best squeezer of all time, recommended, or at least theorize activating on the first green-yellow sustain instead of going for reverse ticks. I did that on one run, which I might end up showing in the pre-roll, so this might be kind of redundant, but still worth discussing. And I didn't... My front end wasn't great on that. I think I hit the note late enough, but my activation, I just activated a few frames before hitting the note, so it wasn't like that indicative of whether or not the method was superior. But regardless, I didn't get any ticks, and I ended up tying first place again. So what that really tells me, I think, is that strike score 336,504 was without dropping any ticks in the song and without getting any ticks on the last act, which is something that I was under the impression wasn't the case before. But I think that is exactly what happened on my second time tying his score. Is that, yeah, I didn't get ticks on the last act at all. So anyway, that is all to say that that was kind of the extent of what I cared to do with experimenting. I meant to do further experimentation with it, where I would just play through like normal. If I got to the third act and missed it, I would just keep going. I don't even think I've had a run where I missed the third act but like kept the FC. So I don't even really think I had the chance much to experiment with that. Obviously, if you miss there, your ticks get all messed up anyway, so it would be really difficult to tell at that point. You'd have to like go and rewatch the footage and like do math to... It just didn't seem, in my opinion, worth it when I felt so close to getting this. But let me think. My thought process was generally that if I didn't get ticks on the run that I got to the outro the first time, where I hit the note pretty late, I just didn't have a great front end, then it just isn't worth going for. Because, I mean, yes, in like a theoretical sense, I understand that even if going for regular ticks instead of reverse ticks is more optimal, it's just so hard to keep a run together and to like push that front end on the last act as hard as you can. And if it's just one of those things. It's like either you get a decent amount of ticks by getting a really good squeeze, or you get no ticks. And that's a huge distinction, because again, I'm fighting for this, I'm essentially just fighting for one tick on the last activation. That's all I really care about. I just wanted to beat this score and dethrone it after 15 years. So that was my rationale for that, that I felt like it would be just as, if not more difficult to push that final act front end than to get a tick or two on the reverse, on the back end. And in addition to that, the front end for that last act chord sustain is actually not nearly as big as at least I was under the impression that it would be, and I suspect maybe other people feel that same way, because normally in this engine it feels like if you have a note like that, the back end is pretty damn lenient. But I think what's going on, and I'm sure this is obvious to people who know the engine and know how this shit works, but I think what's going on is because the BPM is so fast, the tempo is so fast, that the note window is adjusted accordingly. Because I was practicing this, trying to abuse extended hit window on the final act just to see how big the front end was, and it's really not that big. And so that was another reason why I didn't really want to go for pushing that front end on the final act. In addition to that, that's incentivizing me to use extended hit window, which it's just riskier. It exponentially, not exponentially, but it further increases the risk of missing there, because not only you might try to hit the note too late, but you also might not fret it in time for extended hit window to work properly, and you might just miss. Okay, so I think that's all I really needed to explain for that. There was just some discussion in my last video about that, and I just wanted to clear that up, that it may in fact be better, but for what I was trying to accomplish here, and from my very mild experimentation with it, I wasn't willing to risk any more runs to the outro with it. Honestly, I got to the point where I missed so many times. I've missed so many times in the outro here that I kind of felt like just going for the solo double squeeze, but that probably would have ended in many, many more post third act runs than I was really willing to throw away. So this is done, man. Obviously the score isn't unbeatable. Beating it by a tick normally wouldn't be some huge pop-off worthy moment, but I just don't care at this point. Like I said, I've been trying to beat this score since mid to late July, and I've finally done it. Took me 6 days now after tying it. I've only been, playing the song for about 30 minutes every couple days or so. 30 minutes to an hour every couple days, so very happy to have this over with. I did start messing around with Surrender, and there was some interesting things that were going on with that. I might as well discuss that a little bit here, just for anyone who's curious. I finally managed right before this to get a run with just all the squeezes, and it was 317.5 flat. Not good. I thought the third squeeze in Surrender was impossible for the longest time, because I didn't, and it doesn't really make sense to me. I just don't understand this engine very well. That the descending sustains that give you on the star power phrase before it, apparently you're supposed to early whammy that. It doesn't really make sense to me, because I thought that when sustains led into each other in a star power phrase, that there was no point in doing early whammy, because it would maintain your whammy from the previous sustain. But apparently that's not how it works. And so after I I started implementing that. The third squeeze is really not that big of a deal. I've almost gotten the double squeeze with the green after it by pushing that in the front end so far. Because I got to the point where I was pushing the front end so far on that third act, and I was like, I cannot believe this is not connecting. I can't believe I'm not getting the back end of the squeeze. But, so yeah, now all the squeezes, really, the fourth squeeze really isn't that big of a deal because the back end is really generous. It's just going to be about pushing that final act, and the other, the thing that sucks about the realization with the third squeeze, it's great that it's, that I've, found the method to get it, but it introduces another spot to lose ticks on, which is a big problem because obviously Chris's score is just absolutely absurd, as well as Fug and J-Prez's. Just, man, those ticks are monstrous, and so you can't afford to drop ticks anywhere. I'll just throw these numbers out there in case anybody can give me some clarity on what is realistic to shoot for. My best ticks after the first act are 56. I've gotten that a number of times. The Slow Hero Path has them at 64, which seems crazy to me because that front end on the first squeeze is not very generous. So I've missed there a lot of times. Countless times just trying to get the feel for it, but I feel like I'm pushing that front end to about the extent that it can go, and I'm still only getting 56 at the best, and usually 52. And yeah, so that's where I'm at with that, which means that the back end has a ton of, the last act has a ton of ticks that you have to shoot for. So anyway, just wanted to update that. I have no idea if I'm ever going to tackle that song, but I'm at least getting into the rhythm of things and finally understand the third activation. So yeah, yapped on for plenty of time here, but this is pretty great, pretty substantial achievement, I feel like, at least for myself.